I'm Teacher Mike, and this is the fifth episode of my podcast, English Conversation with Teacher Mike. On this podcast, I have conversations with English learners, English teachers, and other people who speak English so that you can practice listening to English while also learning new ideas that you can use to improve your English. Our guest on this episode is another English teacher who many of you might already know, Teacher Alex. So, Alex, welcome to the podcast, and could you please just tell everyone a little bit about yourself?
Sure. Hey, Mike, it's nice to finally meet you. We have been, Facebook friends, I guess, for a while, and this is the first time we have actually gotten together to have a conversation, and I'm excited to be here. Those of you who don't know me, my name is Alex. I am an English teacher, writer, educational YouTuber. I have been making English videos since 2008 on YouTube, and I've been teaching English also since that time. So, English teacher since 2008 and a YouTuber as well. You might know me from the Ingvid network or the Ingvid website.
Great. And can you tell everyone just a little bit more about your teaching experience? Like what kind of places have you taught in the past and what exactly do you do now?
Sure. So I have taught at a variety of schools. I've done online teaching privately, like one-on-one. I've done online group teaching with healthcare professionals in Quebec. By the way, I am in Canada. Quebec is a province in Canada. And in the past, I have worked for learning centers, for tutoring centers, for a college, for an immigration center for newcomers to Canada. I have also worked at a private language school in Montreal. I've taught English to people of all ages, from I think as young as like 7, all the way into senior age. So even people in their 70s. These days, I mostly teach privately, online, one-on-one. And I also teach for a university. And in that job, I teach English to healthcare professionals in Quebec, as I mentioned before.
If people want to contact you about one-on-one lessons, how can they do that?
So they can just go to my website, englishalex.com. There I have my email. It's just alex@englishalex.com if they want more information.
And Alex, what's one of the biggest mistakes that you see people making when trying to learn English?
So I have a video on this topic, 5 things to avoid when you are learning English. I would say one of the biggest mistakes that people make is they expect it to be easy and they treat it as a subject that they can finish like a subject in school. So the question that I hate hearing the most from English learners, from English students is how long until I am a fluent English speaker? So they want a timeline. They want me to give them a timeline when the truth is there are so many factors that you have to consider when someone asks that question. So you have to think about their age, how busy they are in life, how much free time they have, how motivated they are. There are so many things to consider. Their first language, right? Depending on your first language, you will have different challenges than other people. So I would say one of the biggest mistakes is that they don't have correct or accurate expectations for how long it takes to learn a language. And they think it's like a school subject. And it is something that you have to dedicate time to, dedicate practice time to, like a school subject. But it's a tool that you will use your whole life. So you should think of it as that and not just a subject to learn, for example. So yeah, I would say that's one of the biggest mistakes. But I want to throw this back at you. Do you agree, disagree, and is there something else that you think students make mistakes with?
Um, I'm Instead of directly answering that, I'm going to tell you what I thought you were going to say when you first said the problem is that they think about it like a school subject. So when you said they think about it like a school subject, what I thought you were going to say is that they try to learn, and then expect to be masters just by learning, even though they're not actually using it and applying it and practicing it. So, in my opinion, one of the biggest mistakes is that people think, oh, I looked up this word, I learned what it means, now I've mastered it. And they don't understand that they have to practice using it again and again and again and again. It's not like biology where you can learn, oh, this is this and this does this. No, you have to actually use it, and you have to use it lots and lots of times, and you're going to make mistakes, and that's normal. That's not a bad thing. That's how you learn, by doing it again and again, making mistakes, improving each day. So that's what I thought you were going to say when you first said they treat it like a school subject, which also led us to, yeah, one of my main things that I see.
That's I agree. I think sometimes people view learning a language as something that is outside of themselves. Like there is a wall and the language is here. And if I read the wall and I look at the words on the wall, I understand the language. But you have to internalize it. Like it has to become a part of you and a part of your skills set, essentially. So yeah, I agree. Basically, I agree with you in this case. I think we will agree with each other a lot during this conversation.
And I think another really good way to think about that is things like karate, boxing, Muay Thai, Jiu-Jitsu. Language is really like these. It's not about how much you know, it's about how much time you spend doing it and how much time you spend making mistakes and improving each time you make a mistake. And for anyone who does do those things, I don't know how many of my audience members do. That's a great way to think about it.
Yeah, and it doesn't have to be a martial art. It can be any skill, any sport. If you play badminton, if you play tennis or soccer, you know, the more you practice, the better you will be. And if you don't practice for a long time, the next time you try that sport or activity, maybe it's more challenging for you, right? You think, okay, I lost this skill, or I am not as flexible as I was if you practice yoga, for example, or a martial art.
And that's what's really interesting is that like most people know this. They know that like doing yoga, playing sports, gardening, you learn by making mistakes and you improve a little bit every day and you get better by doing it again and again and again, not just by reading. But when they start learning a language, they don't think that that applies. And yeah, I just want everyone to know that language is the same as everything else. You need to actually do it. Let's go to the next question, which is also kind of about mistakes that people make when learning English. Are there any things that you think learners focus too much on when trying to learn English?
Yeah, I think doing just grammar exercises. And the other thing that drives me crazy a little bit is sometimes they will learn high level academic vocabulary because they think I need these advanced words to show that I am an advanced English speaker. So I would say learning words that you don't really need in everyday conversation, but it's a way to show off your skills. Like, I know this high level English word and how to use it, but really, I will never use it in a real conversation. So I think that's a mistake. Like trying to learn language that is higher than other people, thinking you will be higher than those people when you won't be. And also just too many grammar exercises. Just fill in the blanks, fill in the blanks, fill in the blanks. it's important to know structure. It's important to do those exercises, but they are just one tool. Okay? And if you only use that tool, you will never improve your speaking, your pronunciation, your listening skills. So you need those things are important too. You need to focus on more than just writing grammar exercises.
And then, is there anything that you think learners don't focus enough on?
Listening. I think learners don't focus enough on listening. So, the most important thing that you can do to help yourself learn a language is to surround yourself with that language. And this means listening to audio, listening to shows, movies, YouTube videos, and making sure that you have regular input from the language. This goes for language schools in particular. Most of the language schools that I have worked at, we do a lot of teacher speaking to students and organizing activities, but not a lot of focused listening practice. And usually it's because back then we used CDs. The CDs were scratched. Teachers didn't want to, find a CD player or work with it. So I would say getting more listening is the best thing you can do to help yourself hear the language, surround yourself with the language, and basically swim in the language a little bit more.
I completely agree with you, and it's interesting because I also always say you need to spend more time listening. However, I'd never really made that connection where how at English learning schools, English learning centers, there's not always a lot of listening practice. And I think that's partially because people come to these places to get experience speaking. Like when I teach a group lesson, at least 60% of the lesson is just the students using the language with the other students. And the focus is really on me getting them more confident speaking and using the language. And although as a teacher, I know that they should be spending a lot of time listening, I think I always assumed that they were spending time listening at home. And it's probably the case that many of them were not spending the time listening at home. I always thought that because I did these things when I started learning languages, I thought everyone else did the same things. But from teaching on social media and reading all of the comments I get every day, it's become very clear to me that most people do not spend enough time listening. Um, One question I'd like to ask you is what would you say to people who say, but when I listen to English, I don't understand everything? What would you say to them?
I would say it is unrealistic to expect to understand everything. You won't understand everything, and that's okay. I'm learning French, and I am watching TV shows that I watched in English, so I know the stories, I know the characters, and now I'm watching the same shows in French. And even if I don't understand every expression, every piece of vocabulary, I find that I catch certain phrases and sentences and I repeat them while the show is running. So I'm enjoying, something that I know I will like because I liked the show in English. And then I'm trying to just repeat the things that I do catch. Also, if you think this is too much for me, it's too fast, and some shows, they will be too fast, find level appropriate materials. So it is possible, it is more possible than ever now to find good English learning materials for free on the internet, and ones that are aimed at beginner students. If you know the CEFR scale, like A1, A2, B1, B2, you can find beginner, intermediate, advanced learning materials and listening materials as well. But if you don't understand everything, that's okay. It's you are learning a new language. It would be unrealistic to expect to understand everything. Don't become frustrated. Just keep going. Build up your muscles. Maybe listen for 3 minutes. Next time, listen for five. Next time, listen a little bit more and get better a little bit at a time.
That is exactly what I was hoping you would say. And one thing I'd like to add to that is that it's really, again, kind of like what you said, it's not really about learning. You're not listening really to learn, but you're listening to get familiar with the sounds and the patterns of the language. And you're also going to hear words that you don't know yet, and you won't understand them. But if you hear them again and again and again and again, you still might not understand them, but you know what they sound like. So then when you do learn them in the future, you think, oh, I've heard that word before. And because I've heard it before, I know exactly how to pronounce it. I know how it sounds, and I kind of know how to use it, even though I didn't know what it meant when I was listening to it. So even when you don't feel like you're learning, you are learning.
I agree. Like if when I go through periods where I don't listen to French audio, I notice that I can't think as quickly in French and the language doesn't come as naturally to me. But if you surround yourself with the language, with audio, with reading materials as well, you will, like you said, even when you don't feel like you are improving, and you are strengthening muscles in your brain when you do these things.
What do you think about the importance of grammar when learning English and speaking English, just in general? What would you like to tell people about grammar?
Good grammar is always something we want, but it's not always necessary for communication or understanding. So I really think it depends on your goals. If you want to move up in a company, if you are a young person who wants to improve their English for university so they can write essays, absolutely. Grammar is incredibly important. Although some studies show that if you are like a CEO in a company, you don't need good grammar because people know you're the boss and it doesn't matter and you can say what you want. But as an aside, most of us are not CEOs of companies. So we need good grammar for work, for school. However, if you just want to be able to communicate with others in English when you are on vacation, I don't think it's the end of the world if you say, I do the shopping when you talk about your weekend, for example. It's like, oh, they didn't, conjugate do to did. I did the shopping or I did some groceries. Um, I don't think it's the end of the world. But of course, you should, the more you listen, this goes back to listening. If you listen to a lot of English, you will pick up grammar naturally. And if you find, I keep struggling with the present perfect, that's when you go to the grammar exercises and you do some focused practice. So I would say, don't worry so much about learning grammar. Worry more about making your messages clear and making sure that people can understand you. Now, yes, grammar is part of clear communication. So if your word order is completely wrong, it's not good. But I think there are levels to grammar mistakes. So if you don't conjugate a verb correctly, if you forget the D at the end of a past tense verb, it's not the end of the world, but you should try to improve it over time, slowly. Be kind to yourself. Know that, okay, I'm making mistakes now, but I can correct them as I go on this journey. What do you think? I've never heard you speak about this topic, so what do you think?
I agree with what you said 100%. That's basically the same opinion that I have. Just one thing that I want to add, which I'm sure you also believe or know, but I just want to add it because you didn't say it as directly. Improving your grammar is something that you should be trying to do if you want to improve your ability to communicate. Don't focus on improving your grammar just so that you can feel like your English is more advanced. Focus on improving your grammar because grammar is what allows you to express your ideas clearly and accurately. And you actually did say something about grammar making your language clear, but I just want to focus on that a tiny, tiny bit more. When you use correct grammar, it's easier for you to say exactly what you want to say, and it's easier for people to understand you. So, again, it's not about impressing people, it's about improving your ability to communicate effectively. That's all I'd add to that. Next question. Do you have any advice for people who feel like they're stuck and their English just isn't improving?
Sure. The first thing I would say is to write down what you do know. Like, remind yourself that you do know something about English and you do have some skills, right? So, first, be positive and take note of what you do know. After that, do a self assessment and focus on what you don't know, what areas you want to improve. So, is it mixing tenses? Is it conditionals? Then look for targeted resources. Again, the internet is it's very easy to find very specific exercises that help you improve in specific areas that you want to improve in. So also look for level appropriate materials, but also look for materials that challenge you if you feel stuck. Like if you feel like, I'm stuck at the intermediate level, maybe you are only using intermediate level resources and structures. So maybe it's time to challenge yourself a little more and spend more time doing focused practice.
I love that answer. You keep saying things that like I probably would have said, but I didn't actually think about saying. Two things I just want to add to that. One was that you talked about writing down what you know and what you don't know. One thing that I recommend, and I focus on this a lot in my most recent ebook about how to improve your English, is that you should be keeping a journal every day. Write down, today I spent 20 minutes doing this. Today I spent 1 hour doing this. Today this was difficult. Today this part was easy. Today I had difficulty pronouncing this word. Today I finally was able to pronounce this word correctly 10 times in a row. Um, Today I found this sentence that I don't understand. I'll try to understand it better tomorrow. Things like this. This is good because it helps you to improve because you can look back on it and see, ooh, I still need to focus on that. That was difficult yesterday, so I know I should focus on that more in the future. But the other thing is that lots of people think that they are stuck. They think that they aren't improving, but they are. They just expect it to happen faster. And when you write all of these things down, at the end of the month or even the end of the week, you can look back at what you wrote 7 days ago, 20 days ago, and you'll see, oh, I didn't understand that word. Oh, but I do understand it now. Oh, I'm improving. The other thing is that if you write down, like, today I learned these words, and you write down 3 words, at the end of the month, you might see, oh my gosh, I actually learned 100 words this month. I am improving. And that's just a lot of people think that they're stuck when they're not stuck. They're just not keeping track of what they're doing. The second thing that you said was about choosing level appropriate materials. And I have so many students that comment on my Facebook page and they say things like, Teacher, I love your page because I understand 100% of everything you say and 100% of everything you write. And my thought is, great. Now go find a different teacher because my stuff is too easy for you. You're probably not learning very much. I don't want to tell people to leave my page because you can still use it for listening practice. You can still use it to review. You still will learn new things because I don't post about the same things every day. But if you're only listening and reading and learning from something that's easy, you're not going to improve fastly. Fastly is not a word. You're not going to improve very fast. So yeah, listen to things that are easy when you're just trying to like retain what you already know and you're just trying to maybe learn a few new concepts. But when you really want to move up a level, you need to challenge yourself. And I'm glad that you mentioned challenging yourself, finding things that are a bit above your level. That's very important. What advice would you give to someone who says that they can't improve their speaking because they don't have anyone to practice speaking with?
I would say you can. You can listen to dialogues and repeat what characters say. You can say, if you read the same dialogues and listen to the same dialogue multiple times, you can say things at the same time that characters are saying them. You can walk around your house and have conversations with yourself. When you are brushing your teeth, you can speak in your head, what did I do today? Right? You can give a story to yourself, like tell yourself a story about your day. Is it the same as having a real conversation? No, it's not, but it's still practice. You're still using the muscles that you want to strengthen, right? You want to get better at speaking. You need to speak. There are many things you can do to help you speak without a speaking partner. I mentioned a couple of them already. Having conversations with yourself at home, imagining scenarios, or just shadowing dialogues and shadowing things that you hear in films or in TV shows, and just repeating what people say in your target language, which in this case is English. So I would say you can do it.
Again, exactly what I would say. Exactly what I would say. I do just want to add one more thing because it's the title of one of my ebooks is how to practice speaking English by yourself and why everyone should do it. So when I say everyone should do it, what I mean is that even if you have conversations in your daily life and you have lots of opportunities to speak with other people, you should still be having these conversations or practice sessions by yourself. For example, a soccer player, a football player, they don't just go on the field and get good at football by playing games with other teams. They are good during those games because of all of the time that they have spent practicing by themselves, focusing on the things that they know that they need to focus on. So if you don't have a lot of experience talking about any topic, the way that you get good at speaking about that topic is by choosing to speak about it. And you can't just choose the topics that you need to improve when you're having a conversation with another person. I can't just say, hey, Alex, we're going to talk about cheese today, because you might not want to talk about cheese with me.
I love cheese, by the way.
Oh, yeah, that's not the best example, but you get the point. You need to choose the things that you need to focus on, and you can't do that if you're only having real conversations, especially if those are like going to the store, talking to your boss, etc. You're not going to get good at talking about other topics if you're only using English in specific situations. You need to choose the things that you know you need to focus on and focus on them by yourself if there's not another way to focus on them.
Yeah, I agree. And to go back to what you said, just I'll give a short sentence that says, champions are made in practice, right? So any sport, like you said, yes, a team can play very well in a game, but it's because they practiced before. All right. So champions are made in practice. You can be a champion in a second language with more practice.
Do you have advice for people who sometimes don't feel motivated to learn English?
So I wonder if we have different philosophies here. For me, I think it's okay to take a break, take a day off, take 2 or 3 days off if you need to, but don't stay away from the path for too long. And even if you're, even if you're not motivated, still try to at least get exposure to the language, passive exposure, listening to music, having the TV on in the background, watch a TV show, a YouTube video, and just remind yourself that it is a journey, right? When learning improvement, it doesn't happen in a straight line like this. You don't go to the top of the mountain like this. You might go down and you'll go up and down again and then go up. So progress is not a straight line. And you have to accept that and remember that and know that sometimes it's going to be difficult. Sometimes I won't be motivated, but okay, let me at least keep the regular input happening so that my motivation tomorrow, I decide I'm gonna start studying again seriously tomorrow. Um, I won't be away from the language for too long.
I think we are pretty similar on that. I think maybe just I personally, the way that I present this information sounds more like do it every day.
Yeah, see, this is the what I get from when I watch your videos. I think you're a very disciplined person with like good structure in your daily life. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is how uh, I perceive you based on what you put out on social media. So I imagined you would say, just keep going, practice every day.
So, yes and no. I like what you said about it's important to take breaks. That is very true. Take a break sometimes. Sometimes you need to. Sometimes you have to. But at the same time, I would also say that it's very important to know yourself, to know who you are, know how you learn, know your body, know your brain, know your own emotions, know how you work, because learning is personal and no one is the same. So when I say things like you should study every day, practice every day, for some people that might not work. But for 99% of people, I think it can work. But what you need to realize is that when I'm saying do it every day, that might just be reviewing your flashcards for 3 minutes before you go to work. It doesn't mean that you need to sit down with a textbook for 30 minutes or have a conversation for 1 hour. It's more about maintaining the routine by doing a little bit just so you can say, okay, I did a little bit the day before, I did a little bit yesterday, I did a little bit today. So I'll feel bad if I don't do it tomorrow. I should just do 2 or 3 minutes tomorrow to keep up the habit, because maintaining a habit, in my opinion, is one of the most important things that people should be doing.
Yeah, that's perfect. So that clarified for me what your philosophy is. That you still need to like maintain contact with this thing that you are trying to develop.
Exactly. You don't want it. It's like if you don't go to the gym for one day. So then the next day you're like, "Oh, well, I didn't go yesterday. I don't need to go today either." And then those 2 days become 1 week, and that week becomes a month, and before you know it, you're just not going to the gym anymore. It's kinda like that.
Yeah, no, that makes total sense.
So you've worked with people who you said were, 70 years old and older. I have also. So what would you tell people who think that they are too old to learn English or too old to improve their English?
I would say it will take you longer, but it is possible. So I have right now I have 3 people who are over 60, who are my students, and all 3 of them have seen improvement in their English. Maybe not as fast, as someone who is 25 years old, but they do improve over time. And one of my students, she said this a couple of weeks ago. She said something like, Alex, I learn English because it is my medicine against Alzheimer's, you know? So even if you're not improving at a fast rate, it is still something that is healthy for your brain. It is still something that will help you and give you like medicine against something that might slow down your brain. Sorry, the words are not coming very clearly at the moment, but I think you know what I mean. So it will take longer, but it is possible.
Yeah, I love that answer. Yeah, so I guess because I've had time to think about it now while you were kind of on the spot needing to think about it. Yeah, learning a language helps to preserve the health of your brain. What advice do you have for people who are using social media to improve their English?
Be careful on social media, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, everywhere you go, specifically places like Facebook and Instagram, there is a mix of good information and bad information. I think most people already know this, but just in case you don't, don't believe everything you read on the internet or that you see on the internet. Comments sections can be helpful. You know, they can be a good way to get exposure to English from, you know, other people who are learning the language. But I would just say don't make social media the only place you go to for your English practice. Social media, except for English teacher Mike, rarely has like rich content. And when I say rich content, I mean like high quality content. So just be careful. That's all I will say about social media. I imagine you agree with this one.
Yes, I agree. Can you articulate for everyone what do you mean when you say rich content or high quality content? What does that mean in terms of content that people find on social media? Like, what would be good content? What would not be good content, in your opinion?
Sure. So I would say good content is content that, number one, encourages you to practice, that also provides you with a good context for the language. And usually it's longer than 20 or 30 seconds. So, one of the things that I don't like, one of the biggest trends, this has been a trend in English teaching and language teaching for a long time. And honestly, I think Ingvid is guilty of this too. We have done this in the past. Maybe we were even the first to do this on YouTube, is to make videos that say, don't say this. And this is, I don't think this is rich content or high quality content, because I think a lot of the time it's wrong. Or they try to teach you things that you don't really need to know, or to give you phrases that are just high level synonyms for something, but no one actually uses them. So I would say rich content is content you can actually use in your daily life. Usually it's longer form. So if you see someone making a video that's 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, usually people who put that level of effort into a video do it with good intentions and actually want people to interact and engage and practice. Don't watch reels all day, and believe everything that they tell you in 30 seconds when they say this, don't say this. Sometimes those videos are useful, but they are a small part of your English diet, I will say. They should be just a small part of your English diet.
Okay, it's now very clear to me what you mean when you say high quality content, and I agree with you on that. One thing I want to add about why that is high quality content is that it actually gives you the information that you need in order to use the language correctly. For example, when there's a 5 to 10 second reel and they say, here are 10 synonyms for the word delicious, you're not learning about the differences between those synonyms. And there's a reason why there are 10 of them. There are 10 of them because each one is a little bit different. The meaning might be a little bit different. The tone might be a little bit different. The situations that you use it in might be a little bit different. And if you're just seeing a list, here are 10 synonyms, you're not going to use them correctly because they haven't explained how to use them. But if there's a 3 to 5 minute video that actually is a little bit boring, maybe because the teacher is actually explaining the differences, that's what's going to help you, in my opinion. And I think that's what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't like language without context. Like, language without context is just cold language. And you need to warm it up by putting it in a sentence. And like you said, explaining when to use it, encouraging people to repeat after you, and not just give a list of words. A list of words is just, I use the word cold language in the past to describe this. And you need to put it into a sentence that makes it real for you.
I like that. I like that. Yeah. I wasn't sure at first what you meant with cold language, but yeah, putting it into a sentence, actually applying it, putting it in a situation where it means something and you can kind of feel it and use it and understand how it should be used, not just, oh, I think this is what it means. Yeah, yeah. And finally, do you have one main general piece of advice that you would give to everyone who is trying to improve their English?
Very simple. Just keep practicing. Get up every day, start with a good intention to improve, and do your best. Just keep practicing. That's the best advice I can give.
And one more time, for anyone who might be interested in learning with you or following you on social media, where can they do that?
Sure, you can find all of my materials at EnglishAlex.com. And there you have links to my videos, my books, my blog posts. So EnglishAlex.com is the hub, the main area you can go to for all of my materials.
Excellent. Alex, well, thank you. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you very much for doing this with me.
It was a pleasure. And Mike, it's great to finally talk to you. I hope that the people who have made it this far into the podcast enjoyed it as well.